All right, here it is. Friday edition, summertime edition of the OGs podcast. 63. Yeah. There he is, Harry Mays in your top right, Jason Martinez in your top left. And look at the man down below. Oh, David. Oh, ripped up David Uosikkinen, our favorite. He's the backbone, Harry.
Yes.
He's the drum line of the OGs podcast. What's going on, boys?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, it's going to feel like summertime today. It's going to be in the 90s.
It's 94. My wife already left and went to the, we belong to the Oak Hill Swim Club. She already left. She's there.
Nice.
Wow. She's like in line before they even open.
She gets there at 11 o'clock. Boom. I'm in, She gets our chairs together, gets the fruit out, So I join her a little bit later. It's good though. Can't beat it.
DeBella, if it was 94 degrees in Pennsylvania, John DeBella would have made it 93 degrees in the Delaware Valley, Harry.
Delaware Valley. I just saw John not too long ago. He's retiring after many years. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, retirement. I don't know. I think he'll be doing something like we all will. Like when that day comes, my wife always kids me, says, you're going to be the guy in the bar, in the corner of the bar with the little kit and the brushes and doing it. And I said, I can't disagree with that.
Right.
I love playing, and I think the day you stop doing that, maybe medical situation will stop that, but the day you stop doing it up here, we're goners.
Right.
I like staying busy.
Well, speaking of DeBella, I was listening to Pierre the other day, driving back from an appointment, and that's when I heard your song, on the new release. Rockin' and Swing.
Yeah.
It was Why Won't You Call Me Back? And that's when I'm like, man, we got to get David on the show because he's talking about you guys are going out on a tour of Europe and then you're going to come back to the States and tour with Rick Springfield. And I'm like, we got to get him on. This is huge. This is our first studio album in 10 years.
Yeah, longer than that. And it's
it?
Yeah, because we've done a bunch of live records we put out. The big news for us, I think, is touring the U.S. for the first time in 3 decades. We're going out. We'll go do dates. We've done dates in the States, but it's always, maybe one-off or go away for a weekend, go to, that kind of stuff. But we're on the bus. I mean, it's that Circle Your Wagons tour. It's like a season for a football team or a hockey team.
Right.
That's where you look at it. You're on the bus. Don't mess with us, So it's that kind of thing. We're like a little gang on wheels. At 6, and me, I'm 67. It's fun at this age, man. I tell you, Europe. I'm used to touring in Europe. That's something that I got. It's a system for me. But coming back to the U.S. is something I actually, dreamed about doing. And to be offered, Rick Springfield's Rick's a fan of what we do and his manager. And so he hit us up, I think, late in last year, asked us if we'd be interested in doing the tour. I found out about it in January. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. It's like, it's going to be fun. And buddies of mine are on the tour. Rick Springfield's drummer. We used to be when I lived in Los Angeles doing session stuff, he was my drum tech. Which is so crazy. And he was a great drummer too. A lot of those guys come up setting drums up and learning the craft. And a lot of times they're amazing players. This guy, George Palacios, is a beast. And he's been with Rick for probably 15 years, I think.
Wow.
He's killing it. And so we got buddies on the tour. And so we're looking for that. And we only play, like in Europe, we'll play probably almost 3 hours a night. And in the US, we'll play about an hour. Which I can go and do the Iverson thing, just kill it for an hour and just get out.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to go to practice, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Anytime you need to get a hold of Rick Springfield, you just pick up the phone, Harry, and dial up 867-5309. Rick, what's going on, man? When I was at Penn State, Dave, 867 was one of the local handles there in the 814 area.
That's
codes.
Tommy Two-Tone.
It's
it is.
It's Jesse's girl.
No, but listen, that's cool because Tommy Two-Tone's on the tour.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Hey, Harry.
Did I step in shit there?
Jason, that's really good, but he's on the tour. It's mostly the tour is the way the lineup works is Rick will close the show. We'll play before him, and then Paul Young. Do you remember Paul Young?
Yeah.
He's great. He's on the tour. He's on a lot of dates.
He had a huge hit.
Oh, it was a Hall & Oates song.
Every time you go away or something.
Yeah. Fantastic.
What a
Great
soulful voice he had.
Take a piece of me with you.
Yeah.
Super guy too. Really, really nice guy.
Wow.
We met him in Europe a few years ago. Really cool. And then Tommy Two-Tone is also on that bill. And then because we're out from August 4th on the calendar, it says all the way up to September 18th, but that could go a little bit longer. Don't know. But some of the Tubes are going to join us for some of the shows, and so will.
She's a lady.
John Wade.
She's a beauty.
She's a beauty. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting seeing Wade because
a beauty. 1 in a million.
Yeah. And one of my favorite drummers is in the Tubes, Prairie Prince. He's a beast. He's great. Musical artist. He's great. So it's
a beauty.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, David.
Guitars. It's a guitar drum tour. It's going to be great. And we're thrilled to be playing in our country.
Dude, I think it's hilarious. Like you said, like you'll be there with the the brushes and the whole thing. Like, what is it about you drummers? Like, you guys are relentless. Like Rick Allen lost an arm,
and he's still playing.
The drummer of Def Leppard, and he didn't miss. He's like, I'm gonna reteach myself how to play with one wing.
Yeah. Do you know Bobby Prillis? There's a drummer here in town. His name is Bobby Prillis. He nearly he cut his. He almost he did something wacky to his hand, like building a boat or some crazy shit. And can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, and he had to get surgery or anything. He, again, just like Rick Allen, completely taught himself how to play. He's playing gigs. He's putting videos up on Facebook. Yeah, drummers are like, we like it. We like getting paid, but listen, this is what we do. And we are kind of, if sports guys, if I had to tell you, catchers, goaltenders, I mean, we look, Buddy Rich said it. You got to have it. Your band's got to have a good drummer, man. If you don't have a good drummer, the band's weak. You got to have it. You got to bring it, and you got to prepare for it, and you got to love it. And if you don't love it, you're not going to be doing it long, because it's even when you have a tech, there's somebody setting up your stuff and doing everything. You got to play every night and bring it. And boy, there's only one other feeling that's better than that, fellas.
Yeah. And it's fit, and both are physical.
Damn right.
Exactly. Talk about a tour. Like, how does it all come together? It's such a, like you talk about going from, town to town on the bus and everything, and you got all the equipment and everything. Who puts all that stuff together?
Well, it's a big job.
It is. It's gotta be.
Well, believe it or not, Rob Hyman and his wife, Sally, are basically, they handle the business. They're probably gonna love me saying this of the Hooters, but they do it all. But we have great people helping us. It's like over the years, you develop relationships with promoters. Mm-hmm. Promoters are like the Electric Factories or the what's the other one here? What's the
Live Nation?
Live Nation. Those guys. You develop relationships with people that make it happen. We've done the shows enough that, for instance, the Europe thing is always a challenge because you got to get your gear. Either we keep some gear there. I keep a drum set. There's a drum set there. There's a bunch of big stuff that we're not going to fly over, but you send up gear that you particularly like to use. So we have a great relationship with Rolf at XS Cartage, our guy. He does guitar teching for us too, and then Patrick, our promoter in Europe. He knows us all so well. He knows how we're going to travel, what kind of hotels, what we need to make it happen. So they develop a relationship with this. And this guy he was a fan of what we did. And so sometimes he even comes on the road with us. But we have a German tour manager, Holger Brandes, who is he's like you don't want to fuck with him, man. He's like a bad dude. And but he basically tour manages the band. We need to get in a hotel at a certain time and takes care of it. There's a lot of details, but all these guys put it together, and it takes months and months of detailed work to get it together so that I could just walk in and open a key or whatever you do nowadays to get into a hotel room and get in. And that I am truly grateful for at this point in my life. Because I've been doing it a long time, and you start realizing that you're not doing it. I'm sure you're not doing it alone. You have people that are helping you, and these guys are great.
That tour manager sounds like a modern day Peter Grant. Remember him back with the Zeppelin?
Yeah, You got to have a guy, and Holger is that guy.
Yeah.
Holger is when he does not work, when he works, we have a relationship. He goes out with us. I got a good one for you. You'll love this. So I forget the name of the band, Tokyo. It's a Euro band. They're big all over Europe. I don't know if they've really broken out here yet, but this lead singer is married to Heidi Klum.
Oh yeah.
So he takes care of the band and supplies a beer or two to Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
And so he makes sure that everything is and he said he's never seen anybody drink as much beer as Heidi. I mean, Heidi could suck down the beer. And you ever see, I mean, she looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
But he takes care of all that stuff. But he, again, like I said, sometimes you run into some issues, and he's the guy that, breaks down on a wall. He's the guy I want in my foxhole if anything goes down.
Right.
So
he's a foxhole guy, Jason.
Yeah. And we're family. We bring out his son comes out with us now too, which was great because we know him as Holger, our tour manager, and his son's never been on the road with us. And his son I think he's just turning like 15 or something like that. Came on the road with us last year, and seeing his dad in action like that was like, he said, I didn't know my dad was like this. It was cool.
What's the difference now? Like you go to Europe from all those, your first time being over in Europe, which I'm sure is more of a blur because you're over there and you're really living it up as, first time going over as a band and all the pomp and circumstance. Mm-hmm. Now you're going over, you've been there many times. There's I imagine a huge comfort level, number one. But what's like touring around Europe like now? You get to see a little bit more of the historical sites and all that kind of thing, and it's a bit more relaxing in a way. Yeah,
Jason, it is. You learn how to do it, and then there's things that that you're coming towards I mean, it's. I don't know how many times I'll be going back, but now I try to get to, especially when I'm in Germany. I want to visit. I want to go to Auschwitz. There's some places I want to go check out historic things. I always check things out like that. I'm fascinated by the history of and the monuments and the architecture there. I have a friend of mine, one of my best friends, Billy Goodman, lives in Berlin. So when I go over there, it's no longer like Hamburg used to be a place where, I don't know if you know about Hamburg, but Hamburg has like this amazing red light district that's like famous. It's actually the block next to it's called, my friends would kid me, it's called Davidstrasse. I don't know why, but it was a crazy area back there. And that's a spot that we, when we were first getting over on tour, we would like hang out there and you just check it out because it's where the Beatles would go too.
Right.
There was a spot, and now we now it's more like, okay, we're going to go to the art museum.
Right.
That's what happens. Yeah. My wife.
When you're in Berlin, do you follow the Moskva down to Gorky Park?
I beg your pardon?
When you go to Berlin, do you follow the Moskva down to Gorky Park?
Yeah, you were talking about scorpions here, man.
It's a famous lyric, Harry.
Totally. Well, there's some conspiracy theorists out there that say that song was actually written for them, which I don't buy, but it was like kind of planting the seed Russian Soviet. Yeah. Somebody that was like written for them. But I know I've met those guys a few times, and they're just amazing people. And they
Rolf Schenker, right? Rudolph Schenker, is that his name?
That's a rock show, dude. That's when that guy gets out the guitar, he's like from get-go all the way.
I saw them
the
once.
Wind of Change, Harry, from the Scorps.
I saw them in I think 1984 at City Island in Harrisburg, right in the middle of the Susquehanna River.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
I saw them in 86. They were on the Monsters of Rock tour at JFK with Kingdom Come, Metallica, Dokken, the Scorpions, and Van Halen.
Yeah. I was on that. I was on break. I remember Frank Barcelona invited me to that show. Yeah. And I remember I was riding a Harley back then. Me and my buddy, rest in peace, Tony Santoro, went to that show, and they brought us up on stage. Frank got us right on stage, and Eddie was coming over and playing a guitar to us, which is the coolest thing in the world. But that band, the Scorpions rock. They are a rock band institution, and they, whether it's your thing or not, it's hard not to admire, man. Mateus and I'm spacing on the other guitar player, Michael Schenker's brother, but he would come out to our shows.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and and they drive the car like they're on the Autobahn, man. And these guys, I think he lived about 3 hours from where we were playing. I got there in an hour. It's like, they don't mess
driving
around.
$130.
Right.
Yeah. They're fun guys to hang out with, man.
Let's talk about the record, man. Like, how long has this been in the makings? When these songs were these songs that you had written 10, 12 years ago, and you just decided to put them all together, or what? How did it all come about?
Well, Pete Rose.
Yeah, I love that. That's an instrumental, but you yell Pete Rose at the end.
Yeah, Pete Rose was written in 1980. The only thing, everything on that song is recorded in 1980, except the drums. I redid the drums.
Okay.
The guitar, the sax, everything on that is done in 1980 in the studio. I think on a Porta studio, and we did stuff like that. A lot of these songs were songs that we had for ages, and like I said, like we did a redo on Engine 999. But Pete Rose was, we love the ska thing. That's how we came up.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a challenge because ska, playing the drums to ska. My buddy Johnny Worcester hit me up. I don't know if you know Johnny, but Johnny's a really great drummer, punk rock guy, but does everything. He plays in a band called the Mountain Goats. Used to be in a band called Superchunk. He was on a podcast called Defensive Ska, and we were talking about it. And it's like, I was wondering if I could still give it a go at this point, at 67, and it feels good, but it's a workout. It's kind of like straight ahead double bass stuff, but it's straight. You're working. I could definitely feel my heart going when I do that. But it's a blast. But then coupled with the reggae thing, because the reggae thing, if you listen to a song called "Connection," which is a cover song, a cover song of the Rolling Stones. I think it was on Between the Buttons. We did a version of it that's a lot like what Peter Tosh would do, that kind of feel. And I've always loved a song that he did called Walk and Don't Look Back. So I'm looking for the song to be able to play that feel. And it was really interesting to play drums to these songs because it was a different thought process than playing rock tunes, even though they rock.
Different lane almost that you're driving, and it's just
exactly
vibe.
Exactly, man. You still playing your guitar a lot?
I just took him to Westchester Music and saw my friend Al over there, Albien's, and he reset up all my guitars, cleaned up the electrics, and
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. So you
great.
go into that. That's an old school music store here. It's not like Sam Ash or anything. You go there, there's like drums stacked to the ceiling. There's old amps. There's vintage guitars everywhere. There's Gretches hanging on the wall. Shit like that.
I love that. I'm a bit of a collector. I sold some of my stuff, but drums. I have some guitars too. I have a nice Les Paul. I think I have about 4 guitars. I'm an acoustic. I got a Beatle bass. I got my trumpet over there that's been my bucket list thing that I wanted to get to before I leave this earth. But I've been messing around with that. But I love the vintage stuff.
No, it's great.
It's so cool.
There's a smell in there too that's just very definable. Let me ask you this, because when you write songs and you record songs, and there's probably some pretty significant battles in the studio about how something should be intonated, how should we phrase this lyric, where should the accentuation be? And I've always wondered this is because sometimes a band does it in the studio one way, and then when they get on the road, they'll intonate a lyric, or they'll play something at a different tempo, or they'll speed up here or speed up there. And sometimes you hear the live version, you go, man, that's a little bit better. Yeah. Is that someone in the band, winning out on the road? And when you listen back to the recording, you go, I wish we would have changed this one thing, because recording is forever.
Good question.
That's the mold
that's
of
permanent.
the song.
That's permanent. Yeah.
I always wondered that. Like, I hear bands, and then I hear them live, and they do it a little bit different. I go, I like the little bit different version. Do they wish they would have recorded it that way?
I think what happens too is that when you work with, like, for instance, my situation, like Rob and Eric are always writing. They write, and we know what's going to work for the Hooters and what's not, but they're writing songs constantly. I'll give you an example. A song on Nervous Night. We did a song called Where the Children Go, which Patti Smythe came and sang. And when I cut that track, it was a different title. It was a different, I think there were a lot different than what I would end up becoming. So, but when I cut it, I remember, and I really did like the track. That's great. But there was one of those songs that to this day, God, I wish I would have cut it like that. Like when I play it live, there's things that I do live with it that I wish I would have done. But sometimes you don't have the benefit of the time with it. You know, with a drummer, you're cutting a basic track, you're basically cutting it like after they wrote it, and maybe they had a chance to suss some things out. But really, you're getting into action pretty early in the game. And so if you get the benefit of playing that song later, then you're going, I would have come at it this way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, it happens a lot. And it happens a lot, you know, and you know, debates over a certain part. A lot of times though, you want to hope, in our cases, we don't want to waste time in the studio, although Rob has like an incredible studio, which the Eagles are using, by the way, right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've been recording doing stuff like that.
Was that up in Connecticut?
What's that?
Is that in Connecticut?
What's that?
Is that in Connecticut?
They used it. No. He has a commercial studio that's in near Studio 4. That's really, really nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those guys recorded their Eagles. Remember that offensive, the Christmas record they had?
Oh, yeah.
Studio. They work with Charlie Hall from War on Drugs, and they use it. But my point being is that a lot of times you want to go in the studio and have those kind of arguments. You want to have fewer of those arguments, but they happen. You know,
money.
on this record, we really took a lot of time. Rob and Eric and Brendan, the engineer, took a lot of time painstakingly to make it sound like just give it that authentic ska. You know, you hear the dread snare in it, you know, that high connected thing that I play. You get all the cool sounds out of it. They work really hard at that.
How do you decide, you know, which song gets released first, like as a single? Like what goes into that?
In this case, because we were playing Why Won't You Call Me Back, we played that at the Keswick last year. We wanted to get it out there. It's just a matter of like paving the way. I mean, because we think there are maybe a couple singles on the record. And that doesn't say that, okay, we think this one's the best one. We just think, for instance, you know, Nervous Night, we put out All You Zombies was the first track that we put out in 1985. Followed up by We Dance, that did pretty good. And then Day by Day, that went number 6 on the Billboard charts. That was before they had the, you know, sound scan thing. They were radio reporting by phone, or, you know, they write it down on a piece of paper on some form. But the record probably could have been at number 1 because it was getting played all over the place. And then Where Do Children Go was number 4. In this case, Why Won't You Call Me Back is the first single. And it kind of opens the door that says, okay, they're making a record. And then we follow it up with whatever, maybe Engine 99.
That's a hit. I'm telling you, that's a hit.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
Everybody go play that sucker, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I like it too. I get the shine in that one, and I feel good about that one. So I'm happy about it.
I define that by when you're hearing a song for the first time, and before it's done, you're singing along to it. That's a hit.
You know what it reminds me of too? There's an old Simon and Garfunkel song, which when I was a kid, I wouldn't be singing, but he had a song called Chromachrome.
Oh yeah, Kodachrome. Yeah.
Harmony within the chorus. Those guys nailed this thing, because I found one day I was driving back, I was listening to it, and the harmony was so strong. I was like, wow, man, that's like a Simon and Garfunkel thing, you know? So, yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's fun. It's fun to have this happen at this point of our lives. It's you know, it's getting picked up. I got added to stations around Philadelphia, but I see that Sirius Radio's playing it, and you know, for as a musician, that doesn't always, like, I used to think after Nervous Night, the next record is going to happen. It doesn't work that way. It's like a film. You make a movie and you think it's going to be a hit and it's a flop, or you make a movie and it's like, you know, it becomes gigantic.
Right.
Look at the Ted Lasso guys. Holy crap. Yeah.
That's
crazy.
That just concluded, didn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I've never watched a single episode.
I got to tell you, I took me 3 seasons to get into it.
Really?
It's the hardest one for me to get into. And I was just telling a buddy, I said, I actually dreaded watching it. And then all of a sudden, boom, there was something that happened. And I couldn't believe it. I had to see it.
I just started Succession, which just ended too. I just
you're in for it, man. You're in for it, man. That's a great one. That's
good.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, give Lasso a chance, because I'm telling you, I hated it. I was like, I look at that.
How'd you have the patience to go 3 seasons for it to finally click? Well, you got patience of a saint.
My wife would have. She was not happy that I wasn't watching it. So the next thing, okay, I'll watch it, and I'm going still. But it was okay. But it was just too happy, and I'm from Philly. It's just like, come on, that doesn't go. But then there were some things that started happening, and I went. I'm telling you, I guarantee if you give it a shot, it's going to get you.
What
they
about
got 10 minutes with me, David? 10 minutes.
Oh, he's got no attention span.
Three seasons? No way.
But you're a hockey guy. I know you. You're a hockey guy, and I know you have character and you got your integrity. You watch this thing, I guarantee you're going to come back on like.
He'll sit there and watch 2.5 hours of the stinking Flyers lose a game 5-0, but he won't watch Ted Lasso.
They're going to come back, though. The Flyers are going to come back. I like this Keith Jones. You like this Keith Jones thing?
I do.
Yeah, I like it too.
Quite a bit.
I think it's great. I think he's going to be, he's a super guy, and he's so respected. I think he's going to turn it around. And they need it so bad here. I mean, I grew up with the Broad Street Bullies. I told you about. Did I ever tell you about the time I took a flight with Dave Schultz and Bob Kelly? I'm on a plane. Listen, I grew up. I was a kid when they won that. Was it 74 that they won the
first one? Yeah.
So I'm on a plane just about a few years ago, and I think I had a layover, and all of a sudden, that Broad Street Bullies team gets on the plane. They were at some signing thing, and who's sitting in front of me? Kelly's in front of me. Dave Schultz is next to me. Yeah, I was dying. I thought I still and dying, not like he scared me still. I couldn't believe it. Like, oh my God, It wasn't Dave Schultz. It wasn't
that crew walks in there. Yeah,
it wasn't Dave Schultz. It was somebody else. But it was a bunch of guys. Yeah, it was amazing.
Dorney.
I don't know, but it was a scary group, man.
Yeah.
They looked, but they were the coolest. But I remember being like, I had this thing where when I was a kid, when I watched them fight, it was kind of like fighting in Levittown.
There was a lot of street brawling.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of TV shows, did you watch Daisy Jones and the Six?
See, that's another one. See, that's another one like Lasso. I watched the first 2. And I got to give it a shot. Everybody's telling me to give it a shot. It's not getting me, because when you look at the guy in the band when they first start, he's 40 years old. He's playing with these 15-year-old dudes.
I know.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. But you as a musician, like, do you view a show like that a little bit harsher because you're like, man, this is not authentic? Well, I know what this is like.
Yeah.
Well, I try to remember what it was like when I had a garage band when I was a kid. I try to remember that. Like, we practiced. I thought, now if I think back, like in my mind, I want to think we practiced for an hour, but we only practiced for like 15 minutes. We played what songs we knew, and we didn't want to sound bad. I swear. I mean, they'll be mad at my buddies, if my friends of mine that grew up that played with, I can't believe you're saying this. But we would play like a few Led Zeppelin songs. We'd play Hocus Pocus. Remember
Hocus Pocus by Focus.
And we would do Smoke on the Water, and we would maybe fumble our way through Stairway to Heaven. Yeah. And then we were done. Then we would go hang out. It was a garage band. Those guys were a lot more serious than we were, even though we thought we were serious. I mean, we had gigs, but looking back, we were having fun. And then some guys, it was a hobby, and then you knew some guys were going to be lifers. Right. I didn't realize. I kind of probably knew I was a lifer, but I didn't realize how much I was willing to give up to do what I do.
Easiest Led Zeppelin song to play. How many more times?
I love it. Hey, listen, I just posted the other day about an afternoon I had with Robert Plant, because it was about 14 years after Bonzo passed away, and we played a show with Plant's solo band in Switzerland. And Robert Plant, how's this for a big surprise? He was like a fan of the Hooters. I was like, wow. So we sat at a picnic bench and we talked, and I pummeled him with questions about John Bonham.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he loved him, and he was still grieving him, and he was like, it was amazing. So I told him that I played in a band that first song we learned was Communication Breakdown, and we did the songs. I mean, I knew those songs by heart when I was a kid. Yeah,
I know you like a lot of the jazz drummers, but was Bonzo your favorite rock drummer growing up?
He's probably like probably if I have to, early on he was the guy. I loved a guy named Michael Shreve, played with Santana. He was a guy that like really inspired me when I listened to Santana.
Latin in there too.
Yeah, and then later on, like they were the guys that I knew about through radio. And of course Mooney, but Bonzo was the guy that like he played a pocket, even it swung real big. I loved his playing. And then jazz guys, Tony Williams. I played yellow drums because of Tony Williams. I'm taking out a yellow drum kit. Tony Williams played with Miles Davis. I saw him at Temple, and he was like he gets out and the first thing he does on drums. And any drummers out there, when he started playing, he just walks out by himself. And he has 3 floor toms, 2 rack toms, and he starts by going, and he's like, you could have had a cigar. Just everything was so effortless. And then and Ron Carter came out, Herbie Hancock came out, Wayne Shorter came out, and they were playing. Freddie Hubbard was playing trumpet, and it was insane. I mean, I was lucky. I met Buddy Rich when I was a kid. Wow. And I got that kind of, my dad even got a photo of me and Buddy, and I was fortunate to meet, I think, the greatest drummer that ever lived. I mean, people will say, like, there's Virgil Donati, guys that do things that are beyond the scope of reality sometimes in drums. But Buddy, the things he would do with his left hand, his hands, freakish. It's great, And Joe Beercan can almost relate to it and go, "Ooh, how do you do that?
Do it.
Can't do it, but you work at doing it. It's amazing." Yeah.
But you got like Mike Portnoy, and I'm like, geez, he's not even moving his arms. It's insane.
Yeah.
I love too is Danny Carey.
Great drummer.
Oh my goodness. Like the amount of time signature changes in Tool songs is insane.
Yeah.
And he's got so much going on with that kit, and I'm just going, he's mesmerizing.
Yeah. He's so good. He's so good. My favorite cat's out there right now. There's a guy that I gave lessons to when I was a kid, named Elon Rubin. He plays with 9 Inch Nails right now. I think he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His name is Elon Rubin. He has a band. I forget the name of his solo band, but he's a monster drummer too. Virgil Donati is just incredible. You mentioned Danny Carey, but there's so many guys that are doing some incredible things, and even with their drums, they're playing them. There's this lately. You've been seeing guys playing cymbals. People have been stacking cymbals. And doing things where cymbals are like, when I play them, I'd always play them either like tilted this way or tilted or even. Now there's some guys that are playing them this way or tilted like towards the audience and playing like that. And then there's a guy that's playing with Jack White from the White Stripes. He's playing his drums he's turning into the kit. That's crazy. Everybody's kind of creating it's art. It's really cool. Yeah. But Jim Keltner again, I'd say Keltner's still I being that I have a studio downstairs at my house. I'm surprised you don't hear it, Harry.
I think I do. I do sometimes.
Harry's outside with a lighter. Right.
I did Eric's solo record. I did almost all of it downstairs in my basement. Huh. But I guess so. I really pay attention to like Steve Gadd will always be one of my heroes, and Keltner, who does great rock records, and we just lost a great drummer last year who had a crazy history. Jim Gordon played on Layla, and he was
Derek and the Dominoes. Yeah,
he was mentally ill. He went to prison. He could have got out, and he didn't even. He said, I can't go out there. But he was one of my favorite. I listened to his tracks, and I go, wow, that's like a zone. He's in a zone. It's like ball players. You see these special athletes that do things that are. They're in a different thing, like the basket is like that much bigger for them.
Right.
Drummers, there's some drummers that have that going on.
Spatial awareness.
Yeah, totally. Everything slows down. Yeah, everything slows down for them. It's an amazing thing, man.
What about your other project, the In the Pocket? Is that like on hiatus now until this tour is finished, or are you still going to work with those guys? Yeah,
it's great that you brought that up. I recut. I did this. I wanted to do a tribute to George Thorogood because I saw George and Jeff and Billy. They're friends of mine. I've known for them a long time. And even though it's George Thorogood and Delaware Destroyers, he made his bones on South Street at Dobbs. That's where I used to see him play.
J.C. Dobbs, yeah.
He'd be playing one bourbon, one scotch, one beer. I'd be walking down the street. Him and Jeff would be playing. He'd be sitting down, and George would be playing. And so, I did the Philly International thing. I did the punk rock thing with the Dead Milkmen. I got, covered the A's. I did the Hooters song. But I didn't do anything for George. So I just recently covered what did I go? Moving On Over.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had this guy, Greg Sover, who does a lot of blues and rock stuff like Sing It. And I had this female singer, killer singer, Tangrea Hayward, come and sing it. And I got Jay and Kenny Harrison, Wally. And was there somebody else playing guitar on that? I forget who else is. No, that's it. But we just did a recording of that last Friday that Phil Niccolo was mixing. And then we have a show. We have a show on, I should mention this, September 30th at the Ardmore Music Hall.
Awesome.
Playing, which will be fun. And now it's interesting because I'm on tour, but I get a little break. I have a 2-week break in between that date. So I was asked, can you pull this off? I said, yeah, because we don't do a lot of rehearsing.
Right.
Maybe get together one day if I can with a group of them, because I think like right now, I think we have almost 30 of us that are doing it. Wow. It's a lot of fun. It's like hanging. I just did an interview with someone that's writing a book on Robert Hazard. And we were talking about these, the word rivalry came up back in the old days. And a lot of those guys that play in the pocket are guys that were part of what they called that rivalry of bands back in the day. But that was only, a rivalry because when there were record labels, there was only so much of that piece of pie that, a band could get,
Yeah. Well, so, 2 members of the Hooters came from Robert Hazard and the Heroes, right?
Rob Miller and John Lilly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They when they were let go of that gig, we swooped them up. It was kind of like, what do they call it? What do they do that in the football when a guy's forgetting, like free agency? Or when a guy gets cut for we'll take him. Right, we'll get him. We knew they were good. We'll get him.
How's Tommy doing?
Tommy's great. Tommy's great. Tommy's playing. I see that he's playing an outdoor show with not the Rumblers. He has another band, the House Rockers. They're playing out there at the what is it? Oh God, I'm forgetting. But there's a Valley Forge has this outdoor venue out there. I forget the name of it, but they're playing there's a pavilion, Valley Forge, by the library. They're playing there sometime in the summer. They're doing some great shows there. I did a show there a couple of years ago, the night before I left for Europe, which was a big mistake because I was fried flying over there. But he's doing this. I put out a cool record a few years ago, and he's one of those guys that will keep on cranking away at what he does. He just loves it too much. He's too much of a fan of the art of playing. He's great. He's a great performer, and he's a great guitar player.
Yeah,
he's like Wes Montgomery kind of stuff. He's a great player. It's one thing that I love talking with Tommy about is like, what have you listened to lately? And checking out, oh, did you check this out? Or, he's a big fan of Steve Gadd. So we'll talk about some of Gadd's stuff. And he's a guitar player. It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's good.
All right. So the tour starts in Germany, right? Your first date is June 15th. Yeah. But then you come to the United States and your first show is in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes.
But you end up meandering your way around. You come close to our area. Quakertown is just, right up the street. Right, you go to Cape May for a couple of shows, Atlantic City. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to see you guys.
Yeah. We're all over the place. We're doing, because those shows at they're our own shows when we play in Quakertown.
Okay.
And we play at Convention Hall. That was already booked before we were asked before we, to do this tour. So we asked like Paul Young and a couple of other bands, they had other commitments. So we won't do that. Do those. They'll be out playing some shows, and we'll do our shows there. But we are out through the Midwest. We are going to Oklahoma. We're going to Texas. We got 6 states in the West Coast, playing the YouTube Theater where the Rams played
in
football.
LA. Yeah,
it's a 6,000 seat venue there. And then we go way up. We're playing Bend, Oregon. We're playing in Washington. I mean, all these places that I went to in the late 80s. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Granville, I've never been to. You know where Granville is?
That's the Penn National racetrack.
Is that? Yeah, I don't even know of it.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, it's a couple hours away. But we are doing some zigzagging. We are in Massachusetts one night, and the following night I think we're in Atlantic City at the event center and at the Hard Rock. You know, that's cool.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, have a great tour, man. We appreciate you coming on. Best luck with the record too.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, I'll tell you what. Do you guys watch any of that game last night?
I did.
What do you think?
You can't stop Jokic and Murray. They'll win it in 5. I think the Heat will get a game.
Yeah, wow. Jimmy's amazing.
Yeah, he is. But he's kind of been passive in a couple of these games in the playoffs, which really shocked me. Jimmy Butler being passive.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he wanted to beat everybody up. I didn't realize he was that guy.
Yeah, he's
back in the day. Yeah,
he's tough.
Wow.
He's with the Bulls.
Yeah,
pain in the ass.
Oh my God. Well, he's a winner though. You can't. He's a winner. So, but I think he's run into a wall on this one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I miss him. I wish he was a Sixer, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, so do we.
Never know. Never know with the movement around the NBA. Could happen.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I want to thank you guys for asking me on.
Absolutely.
It's a real honor. You guys are two of the best, you know.
We got to get you on with Tommy sometime.
Yeah, we would have a blast. We'd have fun with that. You know, I hit him up. He's got to ask Meg if he's allowed out or not.
Yeah, that's a no. Don't ask her. We want to get him on.
Yeah.
We'll do it from your studio. And we'll get some playing going on.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Love it.
All right, David. Thanks so much, man.
I'm going to go to the pool.
All right. He's going to the pool. Exactly.
Thanks, David.
94 degrees outside. It's a good day to go to the pool.
93, Larry.
93.3, actually.
There he is, David Uosikkinen on the Odgies podcast.
That was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I love talking to him. He's a music head.
Yeah.
Lifer.
Yeah. How many drummers' names did he rattle off there in about 30 seconds?
Some great ones, though, man.
Yeah, but we're officially sponsored by the Original Fudge Kitchen.
Yes.
The official sponsor of Not For Long Media and the Odgies podcast. You know them. The Original Fudge Kitchen is staple down at the Jersey Shore. It is Jersey Shore time. It's official. Kicked in last weekend. They got 6 locations: Cape May, Wildwood, Stone Harbor, and Ocean City. They make all of their fudge and sweet treats right in the store. It's going to guarantee a delicious and fresh product. Stop by and let them know that N4L sent you. But if you're not able to go in person, they ship across the USA. So go to their website, fudgekitchens.com. Order it right there. The Original Fudge Kitchen, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country.
There you go. Check out.
David should take some to Europe.
Absolutely. You know? Spread it like spreading the disease. Bring it over. Hook those people on the Fudge Kitchen.
How about you going 867-5309, thinking it was Rick Springfield, and it's Tommy Two-Tone, and Tommy Two-Tone is on the tour too. Now, how does that happen for you?
That's called stepping in shit. Total luck. Forgot that was Tommy too. It's Jenny.
Yeah.
Who should I turn to?
Right.
Rick Springfield.
But Jesse's girl was Rick Springfield. You got it wrong again.
Yeah. You're right. Jenny, who shot 867-5309. That's Tommy Two-Tone. But I was wishing I was Jesse's girl.
Right.
Is Rick Springfield, of course, from the General Hospital fame.
Correct. Yeah.
I thought he'd be bigger, too.
I mean, we were talking before the show actually started about, you get that one song and you can live off it forever. Think about Rick Springfield. I mean, that song was in the early 80s, right?
Yeah. Probably like 83, 84.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I was either in high school or maybe my first year at college. And that's an iconic song.
Yeah. Still to this day, all these years later, and never really had a follow-up.
No. That's the amazing thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Oh, man.
They say the one hit's easy to write, Harry. It's the next one.
That's right.
First album's easy to write, too. It's all about the misery of having no money, no girls, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you hit it, You got money, you got girls. What the hell are you going to write your music about now?
What's the inspiration now?
Yeah, where's the bitching? You're getting broads everywhere.
Right.
You got dough in your pocket. Little brass in pocket, if you will.
Everybody's buying you drinks.
Yes.
Yeah.
The misery's gone temporarily. Misery always finds its level, though. All right, let's put a wrap on it. That is episode 63. We'll be back next week, another brand new Odd G's podcast. Thanks to Hooters drummer, in the pocket drummer, David Uosikkinen. We really appreciate him joining us. Best of luck on the tour and the new record. And for Harry Mays, Jason Martinez, we'll talk to you next week on a brand new episode of the Odd G's podcast.